Check this out. This new story just was coming out, and I happened to be looking at it right as Sister Aaliyah, who works in the background with this program. Shout out to you. Sent me a link to this same story. So I said I was thinking of so it just all came together perfectly, and dovetails in so many ways with so much of my own work and the broader work of what goes on here on the platform. So let me just start here with this story from TMZ. The headline: US Department of Justice investigating NBA over alleged antitrust violations targeting the big three. The NBA squarely in the sights of the United States Department of Justice over accusations the association worked to torpedo Ice Cube's Big Three basketball league allegations the NBA denies. TMZ Sports has learned that the DOJ launched the inquiry months ago examining alleged anti-competitive behavior on the part of the NBA aiming at squashing the Big Three's growth. So just in case any of you aren't unaware, a couple years ago, Ice Cube starts this league, the Big Three, which basically is older, retired NBA players, people who didn't quite make it in the league, playing 3-on-3 basketball. It's a nice, what he would say is, we'll see in a second, a compliment to the NBA. I always thought, politics aside, that it was a pretty cool venture, given just what it is, an alternative, something that extends people's careers, gives some people a check, some fun. It looked interesting to watch, so be it, so on and so on. But as is often the case, business relies on policy. Government must intervene in defense of successful businesses. So here comes Ice Cube looking to raise a case legally against the NBA for blocking the growth of his league, and B, the NBA in its own history, as is the case with the NFL and other major leagues, in preventing antitrust or monopoly or laws preventing monopoly. Some current players have expressed a desire to play in Cube's league in the offseason, but we're told, as the Big Three sees it, the NBA has prevented guys from doing so, putting arbitrary rules in place to stop players from hooping in ICE's league. Of course, it's a regular occurrence for NBA players, including some of the biggest stars in the world, like LeBron James, to hoop in non-NBA games after the season ends, such as LA's famed Drew League. Big Three officials, according to sources familiar with the investigation, believe they've been unfairly targeted by the NBA. We've also been told NBA owners have been discouraged from investing in the Big Three while simultaneously owning a franchise. Referees haven't been immune. So a source familiar with the Department of Justice investigation tells us Cube and Quantinets, I believe that's his partner with the Big Three, met with the DOJ during the first half of the year. We're also told investigators have begun reaching out to NBA owners as part of their investigation. And by the way, this is Jeff Quantinets, said here to be an American entertainment industry executive. He is the former CEO of the Firm Inc., a media production and talent management company in Santa Monica, California, and current COO of Cube Vision, the film and television production company he runs with his long-term partner Ice Cube. He is listed here as having been involved with the founding of the Big Three.
The things that they're doing to prevent the Big Three from growing, mainly considering our league as competition, which is ridiculous. It's no competition. We're complementary. Do some of the things that's being done behind the scenes that
they're like encouraging people to not do it,
encouraging people to not sponsor us.
Really?
Yeah. Encouraging networks not to play us, not getting support from the NBA or ESPN. I think they should really support what we're doing.
Have you sat with Adam Silver before?
Yeah. We actually tried to give him a piece of the league, but he didn't want it. So we want him to stop talking to sponsors and partners and telling them not to work with the Big Three. They think like we own basketball.
To me, that's the bar. That's the drop. That's the important line that it, again, exposes the colonial capitalist reality that governs the relationship between, well, everybody, but in this case, the sport of basketball. in large part, almost all of these conflicts we see existing are over the conquering and control over the resources. If the resource here is cultural production, or in this specific case, basketball, of course they're going to approach it as if to conquer and own and control the entire resource and monopolize the wealth it can produce. The logic that extends from what Cube is trying to do leads to a dissolution of the monopoly of the NBA, a dissolution of established ownership, and then ultimately to the question of ownership altogether and a redistribution of wealth and resources. The problem Cube and others have is that the political analysis they bring to bear on it is so limited that this is part of what I was arguing when Ye had his initial crisis back in the day with Sway, that particularly those selected for Black capitalist pop cultural quote unquote success and popularity are often deluded into a certain sense of self-importance or individual power. And when they come crashing up against the reality of the actual established relationship and see the limitations of it, there can, I think, be at times it can cause some crises. This is a version that Cube is experiencing. His limited political analysis that we've criticized elsewhere on EYL in particular, that leads us always back to this Black capitalist entrepreneurial solution, so-called, is what he's experiencing, the limitations of which these are the limitations of that right there. Without federal government involvement and support from a Department of Justice investigation on antitrust and monopoly laws, without said protection from the perspective of the NBA, the so-called free market competition mythology falls apart. So what Cube is in effect wanting and looking to benefit from is federal government involving itself in public policy, forcing the NBA to redistribute the wealth it's monopolizing through an exploitation of Black labor, and primarily Black labor, perhaps less so over time, but the labor of these athletes and the wealth that is created from a sport that, as he noted quite accurately there, they intend to own and control, monopolize. For me, the interest is, as I said, the relationship of policy to business. Here we have, again, regardless of what anyone might think of Cube's partner, another attempt at Black entrepreneurialism that without public policy support is being crushed by, or weakened at least, by a bigger white-owned entity that dominates the marketplace. This is the same across the economy. Wherever you get to the larger areas of the economy where wealth is primarily being generated, where we start getting outside of service and beauty supply and healthcare and into the bigger manufacturing, military defense, construction, et cetera, and so forth, Black people are not able to compete in much the same way we saw Kanye West with clothing, Ice Cube in basketball, and any number of other ventures. Their goal ultimately, and in the end, is to make a deal with, be bought out by, partner with, as he already acknowledged in one of his interviews, did Ice Cube, with that he did try to attempt to partner and give a piece, as he said, of the big three to Adam Silver and the NBA. They didn't want it. That's ultimately the goal and the ultimate prize that can be expected from any Black capitalist venture. That cannot be, of course, obviously, a solution to any national or collective problems.